Have you ever read something and it just kind of sparked something? You kind of had to either go back and read it again, or you had to pause and just think about it for a little bit. I've had that happen a lot in my life. But one time has had a real significant impact on me, and it also has had an impact on you, even though you don't know it yet. And that was when I was a teenager, and I read some stuff written by Frederick Douglass. And one of the things that he said was that once you learn to read, you will be forever free. And that, like, it struck me. And I'm like, well, what does that really mean? And what does that mean to me? And what I came to understand is that it's not just about the ABCs of learning to read, it's about learning to think. And that the more that you read, the more that you think. And the more that you think, the more that you know. And the better you're going to get around in this world and understand things a little bit better. And so when we get ready to start doing our activity this week, I want you to be thinking about that. But first, I want to show you some other books that I read that have had an impact on me. Okay, and I've got my little stack right here. There's the Frederick Douglass. That's the autobiography by Frederick Douglass. But I also have a stack right here. Okay, like I have Mr. Tiger, and that actually is a new book. But when I read that, I just had to completely understand why Mr. Tiger felt it necessary to go insane. And then there's like Star Wars, where I met my first hero, Princess Leia. And then Out of My Mind, what some of you have read, and it made me feel so passionately about an injustice done to the character. And El Deafo, right here. My first graphic novel that I ever read that I really, really liked. And if you haven't read that one, you need to read it, because it says something about each of us as individuals that it made me think not just about the book, but about myself and about the world beyond the book and other books similar to that. Hey, Mrs. Henry, do you have any books that have had a significant impact on you?
Hi guys. So certainly I have throughout my life, but some of the ones that I pulled just in our library here is the Molly books or any of the American Girl books. I personally really love history, and so learning that there was something I could read that made history fun and interesting and had people in it that I could relate to and I could then share with my daughter, that was really impactful for me to realize that that could transcend not just me, but other generations. I love a good Chester book, as some of our second graders know, and I like Chester not just because he's hysterically funny, but one of the things I really liked was you learn about the interaction of the characters with their author. And when an author writes a book and creates a character, you live with that character and you know what that character thinks. And so being able to interact with the character was really it gave me a different way to think about reading and looking at characters. And Charlotte's Web, which I read when I was a kid, one of the things I loved about Charlotte's Web is while it has really, really big highs, it has some pretty big lows too. And it kind of teaches you that, you know what, life has those highs and lows, and it helps me understand how to get through some of those highs and lows. And my big stack here has a lot of other ones too, but things like A Boy Called Bat, which is new, because I know that little boy actually, and Harry Potter, which makes you think about the world in a different way, and The Kingdom Keepers. All of these kind of help me know there are other people out there like me and help me kind of get through things when I can read about someone dealing with the same things I am.
That's pretty cool. So I guess we're not just librarians because, we want to hang out in the library.
Which is fun.
It is fun. A lot of fun.
But
best job in the world, right? But there is more to it. So this is your mission, okay? You are going to read today, and about 5 minutes before the end, you do get to check out first, okay? And then you're going to find a nice comfy place by yourself to read, because we're not going to be talking back and forth. This is an independent reading lesson, okay? And then what you're going to do is you are going to grab one of our Post-it notes, okay? And you're going to do a Post-it note. And right there, I'm going to have this hanging up. That's my gigantic, do you see that? Gigantic Post-it note right there. And on that Post-it note, you're going to put the title of the book, the author, and then you're going to choose a quote, okay? Something that makes you think, okay? And then you're going to decide, is this one of these three things? The next one. Okay? You see this? Right? The first one up there is text to self. That's a connection that you're making with what you're reading to something personal for you. The next one is text to text. Like when somebody says they really love Wonder, I say, hey, have you read Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper? That's a text to text connection. There's commonality between those two books, and you might like that, right? And then there's the text to world connection right there, which is the very last one. So, and the text to world is something that's going on in a story that is also going on in our world. And our world might be our school, it might be our community, our county, our state, our country, or it might be the whole world as a whole, okay? So you're going to do your Post-it note, and you're going to do the title, the author, your quote, and then if it's a text to self, text to text, text to world, connection, and how. And the last one I have on my giant Post-it note is the impact that has on you. In my case, I wrote about the narrative, The Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, and how that quote impacted me. And that quote is why I'm a teacher today. It is why I'm a librarian, because I want all of you to find that freedom that comes from being a reader. Okay? All right. Get ready. Get set.